The best way to access the WebFOCUS repository would be to use the WebFOCUS client adapter. To configure it, go to Get Data. In here, simply select the WebFOCUS client adapter. If you never configured it, make sure to add it, simple plus. If you configured it once, it's available in here. So select it. And first thing is add a connection. So what you need in here is a connection name. So let's call it my WebFOCUS. You need the base URL. So if you hit on sample, you get the information. So what you need is the URL of your system, which is going to be the same machine. So in my case, it's running on the local host. So it's the same machine. So I can use that one. Port is 8080/IBI_RPPS. I can use explicit security in here. So I'm going to use an administrator account to access the data. So all you need, configure it. You can test your connection to see what happens. You see, you're already getting access to the system. So you see groups, group description, and group path. So looks good. So actually next step is show the BMS objects. That shows you a list of available capabilities in the product. You cannot select anything. The only thing you can do is select an application where you want to put that information. So I'm going to put it into my folder. I'm going to put it into BaseUp. Don't do it in your live system. Nothing belongs into BaseUp. I create a new folder here. So it's going to be test repository. Hit OK. So select the test repository thing, hit OK, and it's going to create all the synonyms and examples. So what I created now is easy and simple. So I can go to my personal folder in here, wherever I want to, and I can now create a new content. I can use, of course, Designer or Infosys, doesn't matter. So let's go for Designer, and I'm not going to do any Windows updates now. So we got the BaseUp folder. We go there. There's my test repository, and there you're going to see a lot of different services. So some of them are built to create users, add users. So it's showing you some elements. So if you just want to see something, you can get for get groups, or you can get for users, or you can get to get groups within users. So let me start with a very simple one. So we're going to go for get users. And we create a report on the get users. I'm going to go for a table. And the important thing is that response part. Of course, you can rename those elements, but let's start with it. So we're going to put something in the column groups. So as you see, that's only listing users. It's getting more interesting if you go to the lower elements in that list. So you're going to see information on here like the email. So let's add the email. No, actually, we shouldn't add it as a group. I want to have it in rows and not in groups. So there's a list of all the users registered in the system now. Of course, we can add additional elements in here, like the description of the user. So see, a few of them don't have an email address, but I'm getting down to the content. So that would be a way to work with the data in a way more easy fashion than trying to get to anything else. So let's move or change the order here. Let's start with description. I got email addresses for a bunch of those users. So description is the long description of the user. So we can, of course, go for additional information. So we have information like the creation date in here in case we stored it. We're going to have information on the last sign in. So let's add that one so we know when that user signed in for the last time. Keep in mind, those need to be reformatted to be something useful, but that's an easy way. So you got all the information that are relevant for you in here to work with. So you're going to be able to set up your information based on the repository. So that's going to be the best practice and the recommended way to work with that data. So actually, let's move a few more information in here. So you're going to get a few more information depending on what I stored, but that's the way to work with data in your repository. And looking back to those services, we can move down to the application directories. So we created all our content in the base up folder. So if we go to base up, we're going to go for the test repository. And in here, you're going to find those relevant things. So there's many things to get for report information, get privileges, get schedule information, get information from the repository, run schedules. So there's a lot of those services. And if you go to the WFC sample thing here, you're going to find ready-built procedures as well to work with certain things. So there's something, for example, to get groups or get users within group. So you just can simply run that pre-built report. So and then when we're going to get any data, so let's go for the get groups. We get a list of all the groups that are relevant and stored on the system. So you can use those sample reports to play around with, understand them. So if you go for the get groups, for example, we open it up. There's the get groups report that works with the groups list and build your groups list. So straightforward, simple, easy to work with.